Hi, welcome to the Mind Factory. In this channel, we reproduce the latest results in artificial intelligence, deep learning, and robotics. This video is part of a series where we're reproducing a paper called Learning Fine-Grained Bimanual Manipulation with Low-Cost Hardware from the researchers at Stanford and Berkeley. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through the data bus and how to connect the system up to the computer. So if this kind of content's interesting to you, leave a like for the algorithm, consider subscribing to the channel, and let's get into the video. So the first thing we need to do for the data is to map out the USB ports on my host machine. So to do that, I'm going to unplug everything but the keyboard. You can't see it, but I'm pulling everything out except for the keyboard here. And then just do ls USB -t. How you read this is you have a set of, I have USB buses on this machine. And you'll notice that, some of these say 10,000, some of them say 4,480, some of them say 5,000. 10,000 means USB 3 super speed, 480 is USB 2, and 5,000 is just normal USB 3. So these are the different buses that I have on this machine, and these are the devices that are plugged into that bus. Now I want to figure out which ports are connected to which bus. So I've got a USB key, and I'm going to plug that USB key into one of my ports, and I'm going to do the LSB command again. So now I can see that bus 11, port 1, has been taken by this USB key. So I'm just going to note down that the port that I'm currently plugged into is bus 11, port 1, and it's a USB 2 port. The USB 3 ports work is they have both a USB 2 and a USB 3 interface. So this just means that I'm plugged into the USB 2 interface on this, what probably is this USB 3 bus here. So in any case, I'm just going to note down on my diagram, this is bus 11, port 1. Okay, let's move. Now the key. Okay, let's take a look, and we should see, port 2, bus 11. So this means that the previous port I was plugged into and this port are on the same bus. And this is really what I'm trying to figure out here. Okay, let's try something different. I'll jump over to another port. And now you can see that I've switched to bus 7. Okay, port 1. So I have another bus here. And then I'm just going to pull that out. I'll just plug it into another part. There we go. And now I've found bus 1, port 2, right? So I'm going to systematically use this technique just to map out all my different buses and ports. Okay, and here's the result of that mapping. So it turns out I have one bus with 4 ports on it here, one bus with 4 ports on it here, a bus here. I also have a card plugged into my computer that has another bus with 4 ports on it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different USB buses on this machine that I can use to plug the robot into. So this is just a conceptual diagram of how I ended up setting it up. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 buses. I used 2 buses for cameras. A pair of cameras goes into a hub and then into a bus that's dedicated just to 2 cameras, right? And then I have 1 bus over here dedicated to controlling all the arms. This is how the data bus is set up. So I ran each robot arm into its own dedicated USB that goes straight to the computer, and all the arms are running on the same USB bus. And then for the cameras, they go first into this hub, okay, and then the hub goes here into an extender, which then runs into a dedicated USB bus just for these two cameras. And then here it is on the other side, same deal. The cameras go into this USB hub, which goes into its own dedicated bus. And then each robot's plugged directly into the computer. All four arms share the same USB bus. Okay, well, I certainly learned a little trick there with USB ports. I have a lot of fun sometimes with USB ports and getting them to work properly. And now I'm kind of beginning to understand what my problem was. I didn't realize that whole thing about how there's different buses on the computer and they're running at different speeds and this kind of thing. And so now that I think in the past, a lot of problems I had with the USB are probably just because I didn't have awareness about those things. So hopefully you learned as much in this video as I did. Anyway, so that's it. So the hardware and construction of the robot is now complete. And now we can get on to setting up the software and starting to play with the system. Super excited for that. If you guys want to see how that goes, then jump over to the next video and I'll see you in the future.